Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am joined here by Brian. We're going to talk about episode 9 of Survivor 41. And this is very annoying, Brian, because we had just gotten to a point where the episode number matched the number of boots. And the show was like, okay, we got to screw that right up to make it way harder for the future episodes.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're now at, 10 people voted off of
Yes.
Survivor? Yeah, in episode 9, so we had it for a week, Ben. We didn't know how good we had it then.
Yeah. I had just gotten used to it, and I was able to do it just like that in my head, and now I got it perfectly for this episode, and then every future episode I'm going to struggle with it again.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They're like, hey guys, we got to do a double boot today because we did a dumb no boot episode, so we got to catch up.
Yeah, they forgot about the double boot in episode 1. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we did double boot this episode, and I'm not sure why we particularly had this twist that has happened before in Survivor and never been positive, in my opinion. But we did it again.
Really been good.
Yeah.
If they're gonna do a double boot, like, they have a better way other than like doing 2 cycles in one episode and editing it down, which isn't the most ideal, but it probably is like the best in terms of fairness for players. But if you can't have that, like, I much prefer the just like we're doing another challenge at Tribal Council and then voting someone off. I'm okay with that. This is the one where it's just like, all right, this is kind of dumb and doesn't really work. I guess it gave us an somewhat exciting moment, tarnished slightly by people wasting extra votes and whatnot.
Oh yeah, we'll get into it. There's a lot of stuff in the back half of the episode to touch on, but I guess we could like kind of go through some of the early stuff because there's like a few interesting scenes. There's like 3 or 4 kind of interesting scenes before we actually get to the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was curious. What do you want? I guess we could start with the Heather and Nasir stuff because it has like some kind of immediate relevance for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. So Heather really couldn't have picked a worse time to try to go for Nasir based on what we know now. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out for Nasir, but I think my favorite moment of it was she's trying to like talk her way out of it and is like, oh good, Evie's here. Let me ask for Evie. Like, Evie, what did I tell you? And like, obviously Evie doesn't know what's happening. So Evie just tells the truth. And Evie says, you told me to vote off Nasir. Yeah. And it's just like, okay. So Nasir's just like, I don't know what you want me to do with this right now, Heather. Like, you didn't vote for me, but you may as well have. Like, there's not, I don't know. What's your opinion there, Ben? Is there a difference between aggressively trying to throw your name out of Tribal Council and actually voting for you on a vote that you didn't go home?
Yeah, well, so just to rewind, I guess, to last week to set it up, some of the context. Nasir technically was the first person to throw out Heather's name last week for Heather to be the decoy boot to the Yasas. So that is, I presume, what triggered Heather to pull this move at Tribal Council. That,
sure. Yeah.
I had my conspiracy theory last week that there was, potentially other people making her do this or telling her to do this. Unless it was the producers who told her to do this, it is not the case. This was 100% her. But yeah, I think, if we're playing semantics games, right, trying to agitate the rest of the tribe to vote somebody out and then failing and then being like, okay, well, it didn't work, I won't vote them out then, is just as bad as voting for
That's
somebody,
what I
especially
thought.
when you do it at tribal.
We're on the same page there, Ben. I didn't really get her argument at all.
No.
Like, she's like, no, it's not that bad because I didn't actually vote for you.
It was very debate lordy.
Yeah. Yeah. So bad on Heather, real bad. I feel bad that her storyline is just now being picked up, and it's just like, look at how bad Heather is at Survivor. Like,
Well, I mean, presumably she at least ends this episode with a good, like, Emmy-nominated performance at Tribal Council of like,
yeah,
oh, boo-hoo, woe is me, I'm gonna get voted out.
yeah, that was good.
So, but yeah, definitely, this is the second episode in a row where Heather has mattered as a character on the
I
show,
know. The
and
Brave New World.
not great. This is, ironically, in this conversation, the two people who were actually in the right in the conversation were the two people who ended up going home by the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, not a great look for Heather.
No.
Yeah. When you get caught, just own up to it, as Nasir says, right?
Yeah.
You try to make a move, you messed up, just own up to it. Don't try to gaslight people that like this aggressively for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, who knew that Heather was such a girl boss? Get
Yeah.
out here on the island.
Yep. Yeah, she tried to keep Nasir from the game and failed, and now she tried to gaslight him. So, real girl boss energy.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess we could then move on to the other kind of falling out situation from the tribal council, which is the rising tensions, like 3 episodes deep now of this like brewing Deshaun versus Shan war, which we again get teased at for the next episode. Maybe next week it'll matter, and we won't
I'm
just
starting
get
to think it won't
passive
at all.
At a certain point, we have to move past passive aggressive confessionals to like actual gameplay. Like, to be fair, Deshaun and Sheehan did not go to the same tribal council this week, so like it makes sense why it didn't matter. And again, another reason why this twist was dumb, because we just put off of the tension with the Majority Alliance for an extra episode for no reason, potentially. But yeah, Deshaun, as we saw from the tribal council and from last week, not super happy in her gameplay.
No, and he was hot coming out of tribal council. He was revved up. Not great. Not really what you want to be like immediately after a tribal council, especially in a game that's so truncated as this season is. But I thought good on him the next morning for going to her and trying to patch things up. Kind of bad on Shan for immediately being like, okay, I'm glad you're apologizing, but can't you see I'm right? Because
Yeah.
he cannot, and especially not in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually when you're like trying to patch up a relationship, you don't immediately go back into the thing that like made the relationship rocky to begin with within like 4 seconds.
Yeah. No, it's not good for relationships in Survivor, relationships in real life. To anyone listening, don't do that. Accept someone's apology. Perhaps apologize for your end of it too, even, but don't be like, thank you for your apology. I am still right.
Yeah. I'm still right, and here's another thing that I'm right about, and you're going to have to listen to me about.
Yeah, I think that right there probably put the nail in the coffin of them working together long term in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it is though, after this episode, Final 8, so they have a 5-person alliance. Final 8 is like kind of a reasonable point for a 5-person alliance to break up anyways, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if it really accelerated the destruction of this alliance or not.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So, yeah. And she still has an idol, so. I think it's, it's very interesting, and it kind of goes to show that like, in a lot of cases in Survivor, alliances are just like an acknowledgement that, especially modern Survivor, an acknowledgement that you have common short-term interests that align.
Right.
And this is something we talked about before on like many, reality TV podcasts that we've done, that like, the only thing you really need for an alliance is a trust in each other that you each mutually agree that your short-term benefits lie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be friends with people to work with them. You just need to be on the same page. And I think that this alliance, like you said, is probably going to break up anyways, and it got them to where they needed to be at the end of
Yeah.
the day. It got them down to where they're majority of, the
Mhm.
cast, and so can't hate on that. It's good stuff. What was the other scene we got here? Erica, right? Erica and Xander versus Shan.
That was
Yeah.
one of them. We also got the quick. It wasn't really quick. It was like a couple minute scene, like the story scene on Ricard, where he talks
Oh
about
yes.
his experience being hard of hearing and being deaf in one ear and playing
Mm.
Survivor.
Yeah, I mean, certainly tough. As someone who also has hearing loss, I very much related to him on the when there's ambient noise. I cannot hear shit either, so I get that. Obviously, he's completely deaf in one ear, so orders of magnitude greater than my hearing loss, but certainly related to him on that story. So, yeah, that's
What's
good.
your thoughts on the editing decision? That seemed kind of weird to me, but I think that after it was like after like the first 5 or so seconds of it, I was like, okay, I kind of understand what they're going for here, I guess.
I guess yeah, they wanted to try to give people like an inside look at what it's kind of like for Ricard. I don't know if Ricard had a preview of that to be like, yes, that's what it sounds like, or he
Yeah,
was sitting at home being like, what the fuck is happening? This is
yeah,
insulting to me. But I get what they were going for.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was definitely a weird scene. I thought the weird cut in on his ear was kind of odd, but I think the rest of it was fine, I guess.
Yeah. So he's hard at hearing, and then it like zoomed on the
Yeah,
ear. If in case anyone was wondering where your hearing sense
yeah.
comes from, it is the
Again,
ear.
this season of Survivor is for children.
It is. It is. Um,
And then, yeah, the other scene was the one you mentioned where we had Xander and Erica sitting on the beach together, and the Majority Alliance come by, and we're like, okay, let's have a Majority Alliance meeting, and just completely ignoring the fact that they're saying this in front of Erica and Xander.
yeah, it was good. It was shades of Russell and Heroes versus Villains,
Mhm.
being like, I think we should vote these two out, and then the camera panning back to show Sandra and Courtney. Very
Yeah.
good stuff. Um, it kind of goes to what we were talking about before the show, where I feel like coming off of an all winners season where all the players are exceptionally good, even like the worst player of the all winners season was like way above like an average player of Survivor is on any
Mhm.
other season. Um, I feel like people want, the level of gameplay to be that standard again, but it's a moment that reminds us that like these are people on their first go around who maybe aren't even like that naturally gifted at Survivor to the point where they're just openly being like, yeah, so you guys aren't in our alliance, so we're gonna go sit over here.
Yeah, especially after Erica and Heather were like kind of in on the last two votes, like sort of,
Yeah,
right? To like be like, okay, we've gotten to a point where we have the numbers now and we can discard you.
yeah. When really they didn't. I mean, I guess Nasir was in with them in their minds,
Yeah,
so they had the 6 to 4. But like, you know, they did have a 5 to 5 potentially, but hey, it's ballsy. I'll give them that. To just go
yeah.
out there.
No, yeah. I mean, we'll keep talking about it this episode, but there's been it just seems to be that the majority alliance just continues to make mistake after mistake and doesn't really end up mattering.
It's very funny because like coming off of Big Brother, where the majority alliance, or rather like the dominant alliance, the cookout was like insanely careful to never be in a situation to where they were all alone, just themselves. Like
Yep.
for it to just be immediately so sloppily handled in Survivors is a huge like whiplash.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, maybe in hindsight, the Pokemon had to be that 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 careful. Doesn't really seem to be mattering here on
No,
Survivor
no.
that much.
Yeah, but the cookout is very famous for non Big Brother watchers for being like insane about how they micromanaged every single detail of what was happening in the game, and it's why they were so good. But yeah, like you said, they could have maybe taken it a little bit more easy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much it, right? There's not much else to talk about before the challenge, and none of the stuff that happens before the challenge really ends up mattering too much because we have this really pointless twist.
Yes, the demerge
The
has
demerge, yeah.
first seen in Survivor Fiji.
Yep. Also done on Ghost Island, and was it done also some other time that I'm forgetting?
I was thinking about that earlier, and I could not remember if there was
Yeah.
another one other than Ghost
Yeah.
Island.
Yeah.
So if there was, not that memorable.
Yeah. Ghost Island, another instance where potential interesting strategy out of Final 10 and 9 was completely removed, and we just had very boring boots that ended with a very lackluster finale for that
Yeah,
season. So,
and another wasted vote, extra vote, just like here. So
yeah.
perhaps the whole point of this twist is to get extra votes out, and they
Yeah.
knew that they put way too many in the game, and they just had to get rid of them.
I mean, yeah, after this, we have what? Two idols, and then like Xander has an idol and an extra vote, and then Shan has an idol, and that's it, right? There's nothing
Yep,
else.
we've done
So,
a good job of
yeah,
just like getting out.
cleaning
I mean,
house.
uh, presumably there's a merge idol out there. We haven't seen it, but
Yeah, we haven't seen
I
it.
wouldn't be surprised if there were.
I
And
think that they might hide it now with Nasir going home with it in his
the series
pocket.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I guess now I'm thinking about it, in season 40, they didn't hide a merge idol until Sophie got voted off, right? And then there was like the big thing where Tony was like,
hmm
Sophie said that she had an idol, and I know when an idol goes out, there's going to be an idol rehidden. It's
yeah.
like, okay, if you say so. I'm glad you're so confident about the rules, Tony, because I am never confident about the rules of Survivor.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm not. We'll see
Yeah.
later.
Oh man. Hey,
Um,
but great planning to have this challenge be the week that David versus Goliath drops on Netflix when it's the most iconic challenge in that season. So
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, the Christian rambles for hours challenge.
I love that
Um,
challenge. Real
yeah.
like a real like special place in my heart. Especially because was it Alec? Was that his name? Just his
hmm
face, just like so in so much pain, not only from the torture challenge, but from Christian talking for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. I think it was Carl on the sideline was like, make sure you focus, Christian. Christian's like, this helps me focus. And he's like, all right, you
Yeah.
got it, baby.
Oh man.
um,
So yeah, watch David versus Goliath on Netflix. It's a really good season.
yeah, good season, very good season. One of the few good seasons that we've had in the last like 5 or so years. So
It is the best modern season, that is for sure.
yeah. All right. So yeah, what was your initial thoughts? I guess like I
Of the twist
am on the
generally, I
twist.
mean,
Yeah.
like we saw it on Twitter earlier in the day,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I guess I won't look forward to this episode that much because this twist is bad. And then it was bad. I don't know what else to say. I guess it was a little fun that like two of the like predominant people for who like the majority alliance wanted out won immunity. That was cool, but they still were able to work around it because they had a little bit of runway of people to
Yeah.
get rid of. So
No, that's the thing, right? Like everything possible is going well for the like underdogs, and the majority alliance, as we've mentioned, and as we'll talk about as well going forward in this episode, is just constantly making mistakes. But it just straight up doesn't matter.
yeah, I mean, like the whole like thing about this twist is like it's gonna work on the very off chance that the minority alliance gets the majority
Yeah,
of the swap, but it's just very unlikely that will happen, so it
yeah,
never really works that well.
yeah. No, the if we're at a 10 and there's a 6-4 split, I believe there's like a 40 to 50% chance that there's a 3-2-3-2 or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like it's just like the large plurality of the percentage of outcomes is just like the one that favors the majority the most. So it's just
Yeah,
a
and they
dumb
keep
twist.
trying. They keep like,
Yeah,
maybe this time. No, it's not going to work. Just retire it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just never interesting. And again, like especially with the ending game of Modern Survivor being kind of like I would say boring in a lot of ways from like the final like six on. Skipping over the final 10 and final 9 boots for this kind of a twist just seems very short-sighted and silly.
No, agreed. Agreed. So, hey, Erica, congratulations. I did enjoy her. They're like, okay, you won, Jeff. Stay up there. And Erica, 2 seconds later, was like, no, I'm getting off this
Yeah.
fucking torture device, Jeff. Thanks.
I think the nail in the coffin for that was the entire rest of the people on her group were actively rooting against her until Nasir dropped.
Yeah, that's
And
a
she
good
was like,
point.
okay, well, I don't
Fuck
want,
them.
fuck these
Fuck them.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want them to get stew.
Yeah. And you know what? I heard the stew was good according to Xander. They didn't give him any utensils or bowls. They made him eat out of the clam shells. What is this? Like, come on.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't know.
That offended me. Like you guys couldn't, spring for some bowls, like
Hmm.
for real.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Oh
It
man.
was dumb. At least it
Yeah.
was a good reward as far as the food part of it goes. It
Yeah.
wasn't grilled
Beef stew is
cheese.
like probably the ideal Survivor meal. You
Yeah,
got
it's
veggies and you got meat. Like,
and carbs with the potatoes.
yeah, carbs with potatoes. Like, literally cannot do any better than that.
Yeah. No, it's great. Definitely like, probably a top tier like food type that you could get on a Strider reward.
Yeah. No,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, it's like, yeah, anything with like meat and uh, carbs and veggies, as you said.
Yeah, and ironically, the grilled cheese is probably the bottom tier. With like the pizza with some meat toppings is like the exact middle, but between the two.
Well, that's assuming it's a good pizza, right? But there's a lot of,
I don't know if Survivor pizza's ever been good.
yeah,
It never looks that good.
from what we've heard from people on Survivor, pizza is historically bad.
Which is very surprising. I've worked pizza shops for 7 years of my life. Pizza's not hard to make.
No,
A good pizza's not hard to make at all.
no, it's pretty easy. But yeah, anyways, that's a little bit of an aside.
That's what the people come here for, Ben.
Right. All right. Let's get into the. I don't know what the colors were. But blue was the.
It was
Danny
yellow and
Deshawn.
blue. Yeah, blue was Xander, Deshaun,
Okay.
Danny.
All
And
right.
then to really fuck everything up, they sent him to the Iwa tribe camp, which
Yeah.
was the green tribe.
Yeah. Well, we don't care about the camp. Right? Like the camp was irrelevant.
But they put it on the screen. Iwa.
Yeah. They also put the merge tribe name on the screen, which we didn't hear about that, right? I think that's the first time I've seen the merge tribe name.
Yeah, they had a secret scene where they like named it and put the flag together, but like that was a secret scene. Like, who? I guess no one cares. Really, I think Dang Rain killed it because I don't think they've ever shown like the merged name after that. Oh no, they did when Malcolm named it after his mother, right?
Yeah.
But like ever since then, I've noticed that they just kind of are like, here's a name, and they're like, oh, I wonder why.
Well, I think that on Blood versus Water, Tyson or somebody like they tried to name it something like dirty.
Yeah, they tried to name it Ty T Y T
Yeah, Tighty
after the
Whitey.
Tidy Whitey song
Yeah.
that was very famous at the time,
Yeah,
and the
the
producers had
producers-
none of it.
yeah, they stepped in. So maybe from there. the producers give them like a short list of like 5 names to choose from.
I bet they do. Yeah. Here's some Fijian words and what they
Yeah,
mean. Pick one.
yeah,
And then say that you read about it before coming out here.
yep. It's a Via Kana, right? Is that what it is?
Sure.
So via usually means like life or like way or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know what kind. Whatever.
Whatever. It's no.
Island life maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. It's at least it's not a portmanteau, right? Like we
That's
didn't
true. Yeah, it could be
go
worse.
through another one of those or yin yang. That was bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what the merge tribe name was last season. To be fair, so
Orkin, I think, or
Orkin. Okay.
was that Second Chance? I can't even remember anymore.
Oh no.
They all blend together, and they all
I
ultimately don't matter.
Yeah. I knew all of the tribe names like very well up until like the 20s, and then
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
stopped using the tribe names and they stopped, talking about the merge tribe name flag at all. And when
Yeah, and they
they
started like calling them by the theme that
yep.
they were that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the tribe's name. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it was a lot.
So hard to keep up. But yeah, we go back to blue side or
But I
blue
do have
team.
one more. At least they stopped putting the name of the tribe on the buffs. I hated that. I hated that so much. I made them so ugly. As a buff connoisseur, Ben, let me tell you, I made those
Okay.
20s era to like maybe early 30s buffs look very ugly.
Okay. So you're out. You don't like the name.
I don't like the name on the buffs.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
I don't know. It just doesn't look
For
good to me.
for like somebody who's stupid like me and doesn't remember the colors very well, it helps.
Right? Oh man.
But yeah, all right. So blue group, I guess, which ends up being the less interesting of the groups, and the tribal council that kind of gets yada yada over. Um,
To the point where I saw people on Twitter being like, "Is this going to happen in this episode?"
well,
There's
they
not
said
enough
they said
time.
tune in tonight to see 2 people get voted out. So that would have been some major, that would have been Kyland would have been writing up the class action lawsuit on that one.
I would have been right there with them.
Yeah. False advertising. So yeah, I figured they were just gonna yada yada over it, and that also made me extremely confident that Evie was going because the only way that wasn't happening was, as we'll talk about, with an extra vote. Um, but yeah, we have what appears to be pretty straightforward. We have the 3 out of the majority alliance out of 5 on this tribe. And Xander, out of the 2 who are not in that group, have immunity. So, just cross elimination. Evie's gone. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so we're very confused. I think we should just be upfront with everybody. We're not really sure how the extra vote works this season. It was my understanding in years past that if you played an extra vote, you could not use it on the revote. Is that fair to say, Ben? Was that your understanding as well?
I think that was my assumption, but I don't think it's ever been confirmed one way or the other.
Right. So, that's a good point. It was my assumption as well. I thought it was a one-time extra vote. It's not the extra votes. It's the extra vote. But of course, Survivor can do whatever it wants. So it can be like, yo, your vote. It's like an extension of your vote. So your vote, you get to vote each time that you're eligible.
Yeah.
I guess. But since we don't know exactly, it kind of makes it hard to judge positive or negatively what people's moves were here. As you said before we got on, when we were talking about it, if you can use the extra vote, Xander should have used the extra vote to save Evie, because then he could have tied it again and forced rocks from the other 3. Does he know he can use the extra vote in that way? Unclear. Can he even use it that way? Unclear. So if he can't, then hanging on to it and hanging on to the idol, probably the right move. If he can, huge mistake, huge missed opportunity. So
Yeah, 100%. I personally, from what we saw from the other tribal council, think that he
right.
can. I think that he can because when we were shown that revote, which included an extra vote, Jeff read what should have been an additional extra vote on the
Yeah,
revote that should have been unnecessary to confirm Nasir's boot. So
exactly.
that to me tells me that there were 4 votes on the extra or on the revote, which would have been 3 plus Shan's extra vote. And so that's why they need to be
And
read 3.
it's
So
a great point because, like, yeah, why else would he read 3 votes? Doesn't make any sense.
yeah. So
So
to me, that implies that your extra vote counts through a revote, and that implies to me that Xander kind of got finessed here a little bit.
yeah,
'Cause I think that he thought that Deshaun was voting with them.
yeah. And I tweeted at Shan and asked her if she could use her extra vote on the revote, and she did not respond to me. So no one knows what's happening.
All right, perfect. We're out here. We're putting in the work though. We're doing
Yeah,
the
because
investigative journalism.
I had to try something, but she decided not to comment. Which somebody with actual clout and pull in the Survivor community would find these things out, but alas, that's not us, Ben.
Nope. Yeah, I mean that would be nice. Again, we've lamented many times this season that all it would be nice is just for us to know the rules of the game.
Yes, yeah.
So that's a huge issue.
You don't think about it. You take for granted understanding what's happening on your screen until you don't understand what's happening, and especially when you're reviewing a season for the first time in like 11 seasons and you try to be an authority on things and you just can't be.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not our fault, really. They introduced a
Oh, yeah.
million new twists this season, a lot of which contradict each other, and a lot of which have unclear rules. It's never been clear if you can revote with an extra, or you can use an extra vote in a revote. So yeah, I mean, we can't be an authority on information that doesn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even like I said, unless Shan responds to us, I don't even know how we'll get this answer.
I mean, maybe it'll become relevant with Xander's existing still extra vote in a future episode.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, again, presuming that Jeff read 3 votes against Nasir on the revote because Shan used her extra vote on the revote, that means that Xander would have been able to use his extra vote in the revote, which means if he had made the read that him and Evie did not have Deshaun voting with them, he could have used his extra vote, forced a 3-3 tie. There's a 2-2 tie on the revote, and he forces either Danny or Deshaun to flip against Evie, or Danny and Deshaun to draw rocks between themselves.
Yeah. Which I think at that point you can convince them to come to the majority decision.
100% they're voting out Evie in that position. You're not taking a 50-50 rock draw to save Evie.
Yeah. Right.
Especially when you know
or to
that
save
Nasir is out.
Liana. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but I think let's go with that because I think it makes the most sense for why Jeff read 3 votes. Okay. I don't think anyone will come for us for being wrong, given the facts that we have.
All right. So then we have, and the reason I think that Xander kind of got finessed here was 1, his reaction, and then 2, Evie didn't play the shot in the dark. Well, those are the 2 main issues. So let's get to how the hell did Xander get finessed here with how Danny played this, because it was really bad.
I mean, I guess Deshaun just got him. He just convinced him that he was with him and with Evie, and he was like, Evie, I have your back. We went on a giant hike on a mountain together, and I'm gonna betray Liana for you. But,
okay.
wasn't the case.
That's fine, I guess. So why why did Danny do what he did? Can you explain that to me?
Why did Danny tell Xander that he's voting for Evie?
Yep.
I just don't. I think. I think Danny is someone who got asked to play Survivor by production because he's a famous football player, and he is probably someone who is very straight up with people and is just
Yeah.
like, I don't see a reason to lie to you because I don't see, him. They're like, from the game perspective, he went to Xander very early and was like, Xander, I got your back. Guys to the end, bros before hoes, always. And perhaps he thought that like he had a good in with Xander from that, and that's why he did it. But I could also see it's just he's and not a not a strategic mastermind and just like a very straight up dude.
Yeah. Let's be clear here, right? We know, or everybody knows, Xander has an extra vote and an idol, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. I believe they know he has an extra vote. They at least know he has an idol.
Mm-hmm.
They also know that the shot in the dark is in play. So the correct play, 100%, and we talked about this at the start of the season when the shot of the dark was introduced, that
Mm-hmm.
every vote needs to be a blind side because of
Yes.
that. Um, and that's presumably why they introduced the shot of the dark.
Yes, it's
Um,
more exciting, of course.
yeah, you can manufacture blind sides.
Mm.
Um, there's no upside at all to just telling Xander this. This gives
No.
Xander 1,000,000% more leverage to either use his extra vote the way we described, use his idol on Evie,
Mm.
or tell Evie and have Evie play the shot in the dark. And then if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, they'll skin off of Xander's back, right?
Yeah. No, I do honestly think like something that I've accepted over the years. It's like it's not everyone's dream to play Survivor. Not everyone's sitting here
Yeah.
like I am playing through all the various like social interactions between people. I really, really just think Danny is not a super fan of Survivor, and he's playing, not current day Survivor, but like a Survivor of the past with a little bit of like knowledge of advantages sprinkled in there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, I did like how Deshaun played this at the very least.
Yeah, no, Deshaun played it great. My winner pick. What up?
Yeah.
And probably one of his better episodes.
Or I do think that probably one of the two or three people I could see winning the season at this point.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how that worked out at this point. But I'm happy. I'm happy that it did.
Hmm. Yeah. Anything else, I guess, from that group?
No, I think like I said, I think it's just Deshaun snowing Xander and Evie hard
Yeah.
enough to not make them play any advantages or anything. Where there were a few different ways to get out of this for them.
Yeah. There were three, to be precise.
Yeah. And I don't absolutely hate Xander just being 100% selfish at this point, because Xander, quite frankly, is like up shit's creek. Like, he's so screwed if he doesn't win immunity or play his idol. He's in the Mike Holloway position at this point of the game, and like that's an unenviable and almost impossible situation to pull off.
Sure. I mean, to be fair, though, right? If there's a turn on the Majority Alliance next week, right? Then we're at 7. And then Xander has an idol. And then we're at 6.
Hmm.
He has to win 6, and he has to win 5. And then he has to win fire making.
Yeah, that's not that hard.
It's not out of the realm
I'll
of
put it that
possible.
way. Yeah. I
So,
mean, he's in a good spot to like if somebody was a really like high tier player on this, I would start looking at Xander as like a Spencer almost.
yeah.
Like it's harder because that season didn't have fire making and went all the way down to the final two. So you had a lot more opportunity to get Spencer out. But he's the guy that you kind of want to work with, but use as the shield to get all your,
Yeah.
all the flack off of you.
Yeah, the issue is he has an idol, which
Yeah.
makes it way harder because you know you have to take him out. You have to like at least start thinking about flushing the idol probably around 7. Like that's probably the
Yeah.
point where you have to like be actively working to flush his idol. Otherwise, he has like way too much of an opportunity to win out to the end.
Yeah, no, realistically you probably want to if you're playing the Tony game plan, the final 8, you try to get the idol out.
Yeah.
Final 7, you use him to flip votes on other people,
Hmm.
and then you can kind of see where you're at after that. Final 6, maybe you vote another threat out, like the secondary threat to Xander.
Hmm.
But now there's fire making, so you're really, no pun intended, playing with fire if you
Yeah.
want to try this strategy in modern day Survivor.
Yeah, it's almost like a lot of these kind of twists and things really suppress gameplay and like make people just kind of play safe. And yeah,
Yeah, the only way to pull it off, honestly, would be like try to get him out at 5, and then if not, you 100% have to go into the fire making challenge against Xander. Like that's the only way to secure a win in that. But yeah, it's bad. Fire making's real bad. I think we've been clear about that since the very beginning on Twitter and whatnot. So this is our first season covering it. For the record, we think fire making is a terrible twist. One of the worst the show's ever come up with.
yeah, I think it's I think arguably the worst possibly at this point because at least they realized Edge of Extinction was bad and dumb eventually, and they only did 2 seasons of it. Now we're on what, season 8 of Fire Making
Yep, we
or
are,
7?
and it's yeah, it's just bad. And like, I want to be clear, we don't hate the 2-2 fire making. If you can convince
Yeah,
someone to let you play fire, that's a big move in itself and way more interesting. It's the automatic fire making that just sucks.
yeah, no, 100%. It's just like the same way that a final 2 is more interesting than a final 3. A normal voted final 4 is just more interesting than Fire Making, like almost 100% of the time.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
agreed.
Anyways, I guess we can move on to the yellow group, which is slightly more interesting
Yeah,
insofar as like people actually made a move, kind of. And we could argue about the execution of the move, but at least there was a move that was made.
yeah, good
Um,
good move. I mean, Nasir. Okay, eventually this alliance is going to come down on itself,
yeah,
and Nasir is a number for Deshaun and Danny way before he's a number for
yeah,
Shan and Ricard. So this is the right move in my opinion.
I
The
agree.
execution was sloppy though.
Yeah, execution was sloppy, and we'll talk about that. But I agree. I think that getting Nasir out is correct. I agree with Ricard's reasoning here between the pair, and it's another instance of Ricard and Shan butting heads. But I believe this is the first time that that Shan has actually given in.
Yeah, she's like, all right, Ricard, I'll do it, but I will be wasting a advantage for no reason.
Yeah.
Final offer.
Well, actually, Ricard is the one who told her to do it.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true.
so yeah,
Sorry,
Ricard
sorry,
Ricard
Shan.
really coming out of this episode on top, which obviously means in the preview he's the person that is being painted as the decoy target. Because now we can very clearly say Ricard's not going home next.
I hope not. I like Ricard, and I like Ricard even more because people online don't like him, and
Yeah.
it makes me like, I don't know, kind of happy, and it's funny. I hate it when people like are too mean to people on Twitter over games. So like the fact that Ricard is annoying everyone so much makes me happy and makes me want him to keep going farther.
I mean, I like Shan and Ricard. I know
Yeah, no, of course.
Shan has a lot of haters, but I've been Team Shan
Does
from
Shan have a lot
episode.
of haters as well?
Apparently, I've seen a lot of
Jesus.
Shan haters. So
Yo, guys, the only reason this season has been entertaining is because of Shannon Ricard. Like, people need to pump the goddamn brakes on this.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. People just don't like.
Xander's
Yeah.
fun too, I should say. But
Yeah, Xander. Yeah, Xander is a really good underdog, and we continue with the with Liana and Xander both in the game, where we have multiple scenes this episode of Liana just stewing at the existence of Xander.
Yeah, that's that is what the haters on Twitter are. They're just sitting there stewing at everything Shannon doing as Liana is stewing at everything Xander does in real life.
His stupid face.
That was great. That's like the point where it's just like, goddamn, like this is like weirdly personal. And she probably looks back on it and like, I don't even know why I hated him so much.
Mhm.
It's just like, it's probably just like, I want him out and everything keeps going right for him and I hate him.
Yeah, it was like he was supposed to go out third, and he's still here now at the final 8. And it's like he's like a cockroach that I can't kill. I think maybe it's just a reminder, like a daily reminder to Liana that she's just not good at Survivor.
It's very possible. It's very
It's just
possible.
like she made it her goal like 4 days into the game to get Xander out, and he's still here. So like that's just like a constant like tick in her brain of like you haven't accomplished this one simple goal, and it just keeps on slipping through your fingers.
Yeah, she's about to like Stephen Fishback herself. She's not careful.
Yeah,
She's gonna be so focused on that
I
someone
mean-
else is gonna take her out from the side.
yeah, it's possible.
Oh man.
So yeah, we've established. I think we think that Ricard and Shan eventually made the right play, at least in taking Nasir out. What were your thoughts here on how Nasir handled this situation? Because I started getting a feeling that this was going to happen as Nasir had the conversation with Erica and Heather, where he was like, "I'm sorry, Mama, it's you. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's you. I can't turn on them. I'm voting you out. Whatever."
Yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's never a great thing to tell people, especially when there's a thing like the shot in the dark. Very old school. Very old school. Shades of Lex Vandenberg over here, just being like, I'm sorry. Minus the actually having any power to pull things off.
Right.
Like, at least Lex would know for a fact that the person was going home before he'd go and deliver the news. But
Yeah. 1, no idols, and 2, Lex was always in control, at least in Africa.
exactly. Yeah. And for almost every vote in All Stars, other than when he was voted out himself. So, like, right? Lex, underrated player, I think. But that's a huge tangent we don't need to go on.
No, yeah. Hard agree. I think that, a lot of people talk about, like, various never to win, a lot of the early, like, a lot of people are like, third placers were really the best players in the early stages of Survivor, and people bring up, like, Sestrino and, like, Fair Play. But, yeah. Lex,
Yeah, and I
big-
just
big-
watched Survivor Africa a few months ago, so it's really fresh in my mind.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, a lot of people forget how screwed Lex was by the Fallen Comrades challenge, where there's a high percent chance that Lex wins the game if not for that. So
Yeah, so
yeah.
what we have an official stance. It's always fun, and what I really liked doing the first time I did a Survivor podcast way back in the day was finding out what the official stances of the podcast are. So one of our official stances is Lex Vandenberg, one of the most underrated Survivor players from the early days.
Yeah, definitely does not get brought up enough as a screwed player as well.
Yeah. This will probably be the clip I put on Twitter for this episode, so I can continue with the boomers talk about Survivor theme.
I mean, look, I would rather be talking about Survivor after that, to be fair. But yeah, Lex ran that season with an iron fist from fucking day one.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So back to this season.
Yeah. So yeah, again, that works in season 3, right? Does not work as well in season 41, where, as we said, there are idols afoot. Obviously, idols weren't in play here as much, at least not for Heather and Erica.
Yeah.
But there is a shot in the dark. You don't want to be like, hey, Heather, let's just hand you a free pass to have a 1 in 6 chance of getting me out, even assuming
Right.
that Ricard and Shan don't flip. Um, so yeah, it's just bad. You just say, hey, I'm good with you guys. We'll vote out Ricard. We're good. That's it.
Yeah. No. Agreed. But he had to be honest. He's too nice, too sweet for Survivor.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
is
I love playing the middle, so I would have been all over that shit. So.
I feel like though with Shan Ricard, if they got caught wind that he was playing the middle, it would have just completely blown up. Like, who knows what would have happened at that point?
I mean, if it blows up, at least you know it blows up, and it's not happening behind your back, and you just play your idol.
True. True. Very true. Good point.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, bad on Nasir's part to be that brutally honest. He made the same mistake that Danny made, but it actually mattered, unfortunately for him. And then yeah, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the extra vote because this is. I would like you to try to explain to me, if you can,
oh God.
uh, why why we had an extra vote played.
Yeah. So doesn't make any sense. But all right, no, it doesn't make sense. So I've gone through this. I talked with Jenny. I've talked with you before this episode. I've sat on my couch staring at the ceiling trying to make it make sense in my own mind. Doesn't make sense to me. Perhaps I am dumb, very likely, in all honesty, but I think as far as like intelligence, Survivor is like my one sweet spot in life, probably. So like, here's the thing. This worked out. It stun locked, I guess, Nasir into not being able to vote, and they were able to vote him off. Potentially 4-0, 3-0 for sure, but it only works if you already think that the other two are voting for Nasir, in which case, why not just vote Nasir off straight up? Because then, Nasir, if you think Nasir is with you, he votes for Heather and idles Heather out. And if you think Nasir is not with you, then splitting your vote 2-1 with, 2 on Heather, 1 on Nasir also doesn't make any sense. Doesn't help you in any way because if Nasir's not with you, then you're just 3-2-1 yourself, which is like reverse iconic. Like you reverse Suri in the sense that you do it to your own alliance. So playing the extra vote doesn't make any sense to me. Again, I'm pretty dumb. There could be other reasons out there that I'm just not thinking of, but I've really, really tried to think this all the way through, and I just can't.
Yeah, I tried to compare this in my mind to a situation I encountered in an LRG I played at the final 6 of Survivor Buffalo Season 2, where I was in a position where I didn't have an extra vote, but I flipped my vote last minute because the people I thought that I was voting with were, to me, unreliable because they thought that I was lying to them, right? So that's kind of the situation where I tried to make this make sense, where like Shan and Ricard think that there's a world where Erica and Heather try to like pull a fast one on them and vote for, say, Ricard. So then it becomes, say, we do something that sort of makes sense, which would be split the votes 1-1 between Shan and Ricard, 1 on Heather, 1 on Nasir. If Nasir votes for Heather as well, and Heather and Erica vote for Ricard, we now have a 2-2-1, 2 on Ricard, 2 on Heather, 1 on Nasir. And on the revote, Shan, Erica, and Nasir revote, and Nasir now has this hinky vote thrown on him that he
Yeah.
can theoretically put together in like the 30 seconds is like, oh, this had to have come from Shan or Ricard. So he has to put that together and then on the spot realize, oh, I should vote out Ricard with Erica instead of vote out Heather with Shan. So there's like three layers of things that have to go wrong here for it to even matter at all. It has to be Erica and Heather realize they can snake you and attempt to snake you. And then it has to be Nasir realizes that you tried to snake him. And then Nasir makes the deduction based off of that that he should vote with Erica. So, like,
Right.
the
But
level of things.
this also presupposes that they think they can snake you because they think you're thinking that they can snake you, so you're going to split your votes 2-1. But why would they think that? Wouldn't they just assume that Nasir's either voting with you or not, and he already said he was?
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense.
It takes a lot of leaps for Erica and Heather to even come to the conclusion that it's possible for them to make this kind of a move. And when they're in a position where it's like, it seems to be, oh, we should just vote Nasir out, otherwise Heather goes home, making this kind of an elaborate play, it seems extremely outside of the expected realm of possibility.
Yeah, because why would they assume that those three aren't going to vote together? You know what I mean? They're like, why would they? Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, Ben. I'm at a loss. I'm sure there are people who are like, actually, this was a great move. You don't understand 8D Survivor that we're in now, where
No,
I take bad moves and try to say that they're good moves, actually, because I like the people who did them.
yeah, no, I mean, we already talked about it. We both are fans of Shannon Ricard.
Love them, yeah.
So, yeah, this is
But
not like us trying to like make up reasons to not like Shannon
no,
Ricard or like to bash them.
if anything,
Um,
we're desperately trying to figure
Yeah.
out a way where this was like a smart, savvy move, and we just can't.
Yeah, I just can't rationalize it. Like even like this like insane like crazy edge case that requires so many things to go a certain way. Defending like even if you assume that that's possible, defending against that possibility, in my opinion, is not worth burning an extra vote.
No. Yeah, agreed.
So even if this the play that they were trying to make and they like did this like 5 level 8D chess move, that it still doesn't even make sense to do that in my opinion. It seems like still a waste
Yeah.
just to cover that one edge case.
Agreed. So I don't get it. Glad it worked out for them. Glad, quite frankly, an extra vote was burned as a viewer. But I don't see where this necessarily strengthens, their alliance going forward. And honestly, they need that extra vote going forward. It only becomes more valuable as the numbers get smaller. So wasting it here feels bad.
Especially here if Deshaun and Danny try to make a play here. Theoretically, they could have Liana as a third. Theoretically, they could be like, hey, Heather and Erica, we kind of spared you. You kind of owe us one here. Vote with us, and we have a 5-3. And then if then that leaves like Danny and Deshaun with a nobody except for maybe Xander and Xander's extra vote. So
because even in that case, like if you're thinking that far ahead, you may as well just like go to them and be like, yo, how about we all team up and vote Nasir out with his idol, and then we work together going forward. Because now it's just kind of like, oh, interesting they did that. Didn't include me though, so I don't really feel that indebted to them.
Yeah, it's definitely like we're going to save you, but we're also going to be very clear that if something goes wrong here, it's falling on you and not us.
Exactly. Oh,
Like,
man.
like you're the backup plan, basically, right?
Yeah, because it went to commercial in between the two votes, right?
It was so
So,
dumb.
so I was
There
just
was a
like,
point of that.
man, if they don't vote Nasir out here, then I don't understand anything. So at least they did vote Nasir out.
Yeah, obviously, like when I went to commercial break, I was like, wait, why? It's this year's gone.
Yeah,
Like, why
exactly.
would
It's
you?
not dramatic.
Yeah, Why would you cut it at a point where it's obvious what's going to happen after the break? It's not even a cliffhanger. It's like a reverse cliffhanger. Or like, stay tuned for what you know is about to happen next. They're just
Yeah.
dragging like all the Nasir fans out there had to sit through an entire commercial break where they know Nasir is about to get voted out.
This is cruel, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Anything else? I guess.
What are the chances we have a straight normal tribal council next episode?
Well, no comment.
Yeah. At least there were so few people that getting up and whispering, there was no point for
True.
these. So
Yeah.
take the wins where we can get them. Also, big shout out to Survivor Reddit. Doubt they listen to this podcast, but if they do, they are full on the JT Ruined Survivor hate train that I've been captaining, being the conductor of for the length of this podcast since we saw Ua get up in the first episode. Most of the posts this week were just fuck live tribals, they suck. And I feel very vindicated, Ben. People were very like, not like shitty, but very like, you don't know what you're talking about around Edge of Extinction when I was like on Twitter being like, this sucks and is bad for the game. People were like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is exciting. Wouldn't you rather have an exciting tribal council? No, I'd rather know what the fuck's happening at tribal council and why is it happening. And now the fan base seems to be coming to my side. So, Brian was right. History will know that I was right.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I love being the I told you so guy. I still relish being the I told you so guy when there were people, I bring up the BB Can 6 situation constantly with the Canada's veto, where I was the guy trying to tell all the morons on Reddit and on social media.
I remember.
About how Canada vetoing Ryan was a horribly stupid decision that was just going to hand the rest of the game to Dela for literally no reason, and Ryan was just going to get voted out the next week anyways. And just gonna have to say I told you so on that one. So.
Yep, and it led to my favorite player probably from that season getting evicted for no reason in that episode. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so if we're talking about screwed players, definitely Eric up there.
Yeah, like her and Johnny were like pretty even for me, but like I was definitely like really loving what she was bringing to that season, and I just felt like it was so unjust that she got screwed from that.
Yeah, and also Johnny was somewhat equally screwed as well. Obviously not directly, but definitely the timeline of his issues were pushed up severely by losing his kind of meat shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? This is the I Told You So network at this point.
Yeah. Yep. We're better at knowing what good TV is than you. Radio.
So please watch us and subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to know what everybody is going to think as the socially accepted, generalized opinion in 3 years from now, you can just listen to our podcast and just know.
Well, yeah, because we've watched so much reality TV at this point that we're already there. We already know exactly like how this is being perceived. We're able to separate immediate emotions from it.
Pay attention. Yeah, I watched the BB Can 6 live feeds 24/7, so I knew exactly what was going to happen, as opposed to apparently all the people on Reddit who didn't pay attention. So
I didn't, or rather, we haven't had to be asked, wow, that show's still on 18 million times in our life to not have this one thing that we're
Yep.
good at.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Stay
in
tuned.
conclusion, Live Travel's bad. Erica was screwed. Lex Vandenberg, very underrated.
Lex Vandenberg also screwed.
Also screwed, also very underrated.
Mm.
So bring Lex back. Survivor Legends season, whenever that happens.
Yeah, I don't know if he
He's
would
probably
want.
pretty old now, yeah.
Yeah, he was. I think he was like 30 on Africa,
Yeah, something like that.
so
So
probably like 50, like early 50s now.
he could do it depending on how good his shape he stayed in, but like
Actually,
he's
maybe
not.
he's maybe he was older. I don't know. I don't know how old he was. He had
Yeah.
young kids. I think he was like 30, early 30s.
Mhm. Oh man, Ben, anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's it. Hopefully we get a straightforward week next week. I am not holding my breath though. I think it'll probably be another stupid twist.
Probably, almost certainly. Oh man. All right. Well, I guess other than that, you can find me on the Wicked Good Sports channel nearly every single day talking about sports. And if you want to hear my amazing opinions and kind of dumb jokes, you can follow me on Twitter at @theFakeBMar. That's BMARR.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Ben Sharon. You can follow the main channel on Twitter at WG Everything, and the main channel on other platforms at Wicked Good Everything. That would be Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch. And then also on the YouTube, the main channel. And then this channel is our podcast channel, Better Radio. And this show is The Blindsiders on all major podcasting platforms. Please, if you like this show, hit the subscribe button on the podcasting platforms, and then also Better Radio on YouTube. We're very close to 100 subs on YouTube for Better
So
Radio.
close. So close.
And once we get that, it'll be so much easier for us to promote that channel. 100 subs is like the break point for so many annoying things that happen in the back end, where
Yeah.
YouTube is like, okay, this is actually a real channel that matters a little bit.
Yeah, we're right now in line for a good club, but the bouncer is staring at our ID and they're not sure.
Yeah.
They're not sure if it's legit.
Help us get in. But yeah, otherwise we'll be back next week to talk about episode 10. Yeah, I think we have like a month left in this season approximately. I think there are 4 episodes, including the finale. So yeah,
Wow. Time flies, Ben.
time flies, and then we'll
It
be
does. It's almost Thanksgiving.
and we'll maybe have some fun content after the Survivor season ends that we'll hopefully be able to nail down and plug soon.
Yeah, we're working on it on the back end, much
Yeah.
like YouTube is working on the back end for our channel.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday, night before Thanksgiving, very famously the night where you get drunk with friends, but hey, COVID's still happening, so if you can't do that, get drunk and watch Survivor and listen to us.
Yep.
That's my plea.
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. See you next week.
Later.